Okay, shalom ubracha. Welcome back. B'ezrat Hashem, we are continuing with where we left off in Reb Noson's beautiful prayer, Likutey Tefilot, prayer 24. In the newer editions, it's like one, two, the third last paragraph of this prayer, B'ezrat Hashem. Just before we start, we just like to point out that we're in this period of before Purim. It is a big proof to this concept that Rebbe Nachman is teaching, how simcha is the key out for everything. Because the whole idea of Purim now, our mitzvah today, is to be happy. And if you're happy enough, you can tap in to what the Arizal calls the light of Mordechai, Ha'arat Mordechai, which shines only once a year. It doesn't shine even on Yom Kippur, not even on Shavuot, not even on Rosh Hashanah. It shines dafka on Purim. It's this big light called the light of Mordechai, which is basically the tzaddik's gateway to the infinite light. And on Purim, we are living this lesson 24, where again, the idea is that when you work on being besimcha to the maximum, you're happy about your Judaism, about yourself, about even nothing. You're just happy about Hashem. So this, especially on Purim, taps into the light of Mordechai, which is the light of Yeshua. We say this again, we mentioned this many times in the past, that it says the famous verse that we read at the end of the Megillah Esther on Purim, out loud, and then the Chazan goes over it. La Yudim Haita Ora Vesimcha. Right? The Jews had light and Simcha. In our context, the Jews tap into Ora, light, which is the infinite light, the light that gives sustenance and nourishment and bounty to every person. Basically, everything you're going to need in life to make it is through the infinite light. So that's Aura. And it's through what? Vesimcha. Like the Aura Vesimcha, the Aura comes about because of the Simcha that you work on. Commensurate, according to how much you work on Simcha, that's how you tap into Aura. This is why these days before Purim are so important in investing in them properly as a preparation for Purim. Because again, we said this again, if you got Purim, you have the rest of the year in your pocket. Even Rosh Hashanah, which is a big thing, its preparation starts already from Purim, believe it or not. The upcoming Rosh Hashanah starts from Purim. Para, Rebbe Nachman says that mipur nasa para. From Purim, we then come to the next parsha after Purim, which is the Shabbat called Shabbat Para. We read the purification of the red heifer to purify from death. And Rebbe Nachman says that's a result of Purim. We're able to do Shabbat Para, which is really the Shabbat before Nisan, before the month of Nisan. Fine. That purification, though, is dependent upon Purim, which comes before. Okay, Rebbe Nachman says Mipur, which is Purim. Nasa Para comes about Para. So Para, they would say, the rest of our Hasidim, Para is Rashi Tevot, Purim, Rosh Hashanah. That even Rosh Hashanah, Rebbe Nachman's big thing, Rosh Hashanah, he said it's all the beginnings come from Purim. He also, if you remember, Rebbe Nachman, when he gave the lessons about Purim, he said initially all beginnings were from Pesach, because everything commemorates Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim, leaving of Egypt. But then he said in Yiddish, unheint, but now, and he didn't complete the statement. Right? He didn't complete it because you can't tell people this openly. What? From Purim is the beginning of everything? From acting silly, getting drunk, and dancing, that's the beginning? The answer is yes. But the average person can't accept that. What? Rosh Hashanah makes sense, that's the beginning. Yom Kippur is the beginning. Shavuot, Pesach. You tell us Purim is you got to be kidding. And the answer is yes. The jokingness and the silliness and the happiness of Purim is the key for everything else. And because people can't accept this, Rebbe Nachman hinted to it. He said, but now, and he didn't complete, Rebbe Noson says, I understood clearly from his gestures of his hands and his facial expressions and how he said it, that now all beginnings are from Purim. Meaning what? You want to start in life? You want to start again? And now right before Purim, Purim is the key to start, B'ezrat Hashem. It's an opening. Reb Noson says in his beautiful prayer, 37 part 2, that Purim is an opportunity to start again, to begin, and to have an opening in life, B'ezrat Hashem. So this is a reminder to take advantage of this special time now, before Purim, and Purim itself, to daven, to have a beautiful Purim, and on Purim itself to ask Hashem to open up for you big miracles that you need, whether it's physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, with the kids, with the Shalom Bayit, whatever area in life that you need. Purim is an opening be'ezrat Hashem, okay? Purim, if you take a look, has the same gematria as the word shalev, which means to be tranquil. Shin lamed bet, that's 336. That's gematria Purim. To show that the goal of Purim is to have this tranquility that I can serve Hashem. Right now I'm going through all these crazy things due to the constant attacks from Haman Amalek, and Purim represents the idea of being relaxed, tranquil, being able to serve Hashem with a clear mind, clear-headedness. We all want that. But until we get there, we have to go through the roller coasters. And for sure, they'll continue to be the roller coasters. But when a person has a shalev attitude, a calm, tranquil attitude, no matter what he's going through, that's the greatest gift. The greatest gift is the person has that. So we hope, as Hashem, that Purim should have a big opening for us personally and collectively. Am Yisrael should have big miracles. And the simcha of Purim should open up that the world, the nations, should be happy about us. When they see that we're happy and we succeed because we're happy, then the nations themselves will be happy because of us and will try their best to make us happy so that they can have the feedback of happiness and simcha. Because right now, more than anything else, what's going to bring Mashiach more than anything else right now is simcha. Because the verse reads, like we said many times, the verse from Isaiah, Ki v'simcha tetzeu, for with joy you shall leave exile. That's the key. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, with all that introduction, we're going to continue with where we left off now. See, Reb Noson, I said last class, these two paragraphs of Reb Noson's prayer are like, in a sense, the climax of the goal, of your personal goal. Then the last two paragraphs is about now the actual collective goal of creation to bring the final redemption, etc. We'll get there, B'ezrat Hashem. But on a personal level, what's my goal in life? We said in last week's class that Reb Noson summarizes all of life in this paragraph, and this one also that we're going to read today, also he summarizes all of life. And basically the bottom line is, like what the Kabbalists said, and Rav Ari Kaplan brings this down many times, the reason why Hashem created the world was in order to have a recipient, a beneficiary of his goodness. Of what value is Hashem's goodness if there's no recipient, there's no receiver? So Hashem created the world to receive this goodness. That's the whole thing. Hashem chafetz lehitiv. There's a song from Yaakov Shweki even, that Hashem is chafetz lehitiv. Hashem wants to do good. And you say, where is it? Where is it? That's what you have to work to get into. Hashem wants you to earn the ability to experience His goodness. It's there. You know, when we leave this world, they're going to show us how much good we had access to, and we're going to see how stupid we were. We didn't take advantage of appreciating, of being happy, of valuing the little tiny good things that we were doing in life. And we could have been happy with that and lived a good life. Instead, we're just running and confused. Oh, now this, because we wanted everything to be perfect, and it's not perfect. So we're broken and we're sad and depressed, etc., etc., etc. But the reality is that the goodness of Hashem is meant to be revealed in this world, not just in the world to come. Not to say, okay, suffer in this world so that way you can have a good in the world to come. No. I know people who are like that. They think they're suffering in this world, and that way it'll be an atonement, and they can have the goodness in the world to come. Rebbe Nachman says, no. You got to work to transform the bitterness itself in this world into the greatest goodness possible. That's the goal. That's why you're here. Not, okay, just toil and suffer, and then Olam Haba, you get rewarded. That's not a good attitude. That's not a healthy attitude. That's not the right attitude. The right attitude is to transform this so-called Gehenam into Gan Eden. It reminds me once that Reb Noson, once he heard how the Misnagdim, they were saying about Reb Noson that for sure he's going to Gehenam. Of all the false accusations and slander they spoke against him, they said for sure he's going to Gehenam. When Reb Noson heard what they were saying, he laughed and he said, no problem. I'll go to Gehenam. I'll just say there one lesson from Rebbe Nachman, and I'll transform the Gehenam into Gan Eden. You got that? Transforming Gehenam into Gan Eden. That's what Hashem wants of us. That's the idea. The challenge is in order for you to be able to turn this world into goodness. Nachon, you see days and weeks and months and years are passing by and still no change. You gotta have that patience, man. The patience, Bezat Hashem, you will make it. If you have to hold on and hold on and hold on and keep on doing what the tzadikim tell you to do. I know some people, they complain and they complain about everything. I ask them, do you give tzedakah? No. Do you go to the mikveh? No. Do you say tikkun klali? Sometimes. This. So what do you want, man? You're not doing what the tzaddikim teach us to do. So why are you complaining? Stop. All these things are to help you to be happy and positive. And now even the etzot, the advice you're not doing. So of course you're complaining. So don't complain. We don't need to hear it. There's no justification because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You know about what you have to do and you don't do it. Act silly, mamash. In any event, I don't want to just go with how I have to deal with some people sometimes. Let's continue with this beautiful prayer now. So again, we're reading the third last paragraph of this beautiful prayer, which means that we're almost finished. After almost 4.5, 5 years on this beautiful lesson, we're almost finished the prayer and the lesson, God willing. Let's see how long it'll take to finish this amazing lesson. Just for the record, we started working on this lesson, Lag BaOmer, 4.5 years ago. 4.5 years ago. 4 years ago, basically. Almost 5 years ago. And it is such a powerful lesson, as anybody can see. It's a different ball game, and it's such depth, and it's so applicable to every day. It's hard to let go of it and to go on, because the themes are just so powerful. A few people have approached and saying, "What? You're still on lesson 24? You're still on lesson 24?" And the answer is yes. Yes. Why? I don't know. Just the lesson itself is so enriching. Why leave in the middle? And it's helping us. And who knows where we can get with this lesson, where we can advance to in our life in this lesson. So it's a shame to go on to another lesson if now we can squeeze to the maximum that we can this lesson according to our level, and then be ready to go on to another lesson and another idea. But in the meantime, this lesson is just so beautiful and so powerful. So now Reb Noson, he says like this. Again, the third last paragraph of this prayer. Chus v'chamol alay. Take pity and compassion upon me, Hashem. Pity and compassion. Chus v'chamol alay. Kerachamei ha'av ala ben. Like the compassion of a son on a father. This is very questionable, because how much today do fathers really love their kids? Sometimes the kids, they feel my father doesn't care about me, my father doesn't pay attention to me, he doesn't care if I exist. On one hand, it's true. Sometimes the parents, they really can't stand their kids. Or, you have your life, I brought you to this world, I did my best to raise you properly, now you're on your own, now you have to grow on your own. Okay? So there's a way that a father to the son, there is a limit to the love. But really, the reality is that deep down inside, every father has a true compassion to his son. That's probably one of the reasons why some fathers, and many fathers, they rebuke their sons, and they tell them off because they love them so much, they have such compassion on them, and they can't stand that they're wasting their lives on stupidities. They have a golden mountain in front of them, the father sees it, but the child chooses to run after the Lego instead of the golden mountain. And he says, you're stupid. He says himself, you're wasting your time on stupidities, on narshkeit, they say in Yiddish, and you have access to such amazing resources, such treasures, and it's chaval. So what type of a parent bothers one? The one who has compassion on the son. That's the compassion. That it hurts the father that the son is doing stupid, foolish things, and he's wasting his time when he has access to a gold mine right in front of his eyes, but he doesn't see it because, like Rebbe Nachman says, in Rebbe Nachman's wisdom, Simchat Arwan, the little coin is right in front of the eyes and blocking everything. There's a gold mountain in front of the person, there's a big light, and the penny, the coin, is right in front of the eye, blocking the entire picture. And a parent who sees that to his son, the father, it hurts. Okay, so there's a compassion. So now, we ask Hashem this request. That's what Reb Noson is saying, Kirachamei hav ala ben. Have compassion and pity, like a father has compassion and pity on his son, and it bothers the father whether the son is doing stupidities, and he does something about it. He makes a retort. He doesn't just shut up and stay quiet. The father, he says something, expresses the pain. You're an idiot. You're wasting life. Even though the son many times doesn't take it right, and he gets upset, but he knows deep down inside the father's right, and the father really cares about him. He doesn't you don't care about me. You do. He does care about me. Okay. So we're asking Hashem also not to just remain quiet, Like in King David says, Al domi lachem, right? Al domi, Hashem, don't be silent. Don't be silent to us. So, like the compassion of a father unto the son, have pity and compassion upon us. And what is the compassion that we want, Hashem? Let me not waste my time. Please, I came here for a mission. I didn't come here to eat Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. I didn't come here to have the nice new high-tech new wave cheesecake and the new jacuzzi. I didn't come for these stupidities and these fancy schmancy cars. What for? I didn't come for this. I came to experience your goodness, Hashem. Okay, there's v'zakeni letuvcha gadol be'emet. Let me merit to your great kindness, but really, in truth, be'emet, zakeni letuvcha hagadol be'emet. Let me be zoch, let me merit to your big kindness, but really, in truth. And you're going to see in this paragraph how many times Reb Noson repeats the term tov, goodness, good. Watch. Ki ata tov umetiv lakol, because Hashem, like we say in the Birkat Hamazon, in the fourth blessing, huetiv metiv, right? Hatov metiv, it's called. Hashem, you are good, and you do good to everyone. Like we said, the Kabbalists say that Hashem's goodness is when there's a recipient. Someone is good. How is it identified? That point A gives to his goodness, gives of his goodness to point B. That's how it's recognized. So Hashem, you are tov, umetiv lakol. You're good, and you give good to everybody. This is such a powerful statement, because you would think only for the elite. Hashem is good only to the tzadikim, only to the big shots, only the people who matter and make a difference. But me, little low life me, since when does Hashem care about me? Since Hashem even look at me and admire and appreciate? The answer is Hashem is tov umetiv lakol. Hashem is good and does good to everyone. Even if in your eyes you're lowly, insignificant, still Hashem is good to everyone. Everyone, lakol, and He does good to everyone. He's your creator. He knows exactly how you are, how you run, how you function, all your incarnations. He knows exactly who you are, how things are moving by you. And still, within all that, and your free will, He can choose, Hashem chooses to be tov umetiv. He's good and does good to others. Vata chafetz lehetiv livriotecha. Here's this famous expression. And Hashem, you wish, you want lehetiv livriotecha. You want to go. Hashem wants. Chafetz is like another term for ratzon, believe it or not. It's a desire, right? Mi'aisha chafetz chaim. Who's he who desires life? Chafetz. Okay. Lehetiv livriotecha. Hashem, you want to do good to your creatures. You don't want to just, okay, I created them, leave me alone. No, you want to do good to your creations. It's chafetz. Hashem has an initiative, and He's a running, propelling momentum to that direction to do good. Not, okay, Hashem created the world and He left us, and that's it. He made the whole system to work by itself. There's the sun, the moon, the cycles, and nature, the laws of nature, and He just took off. No. Hashem is chafetz to do good to your briotecha. You just have to look for it. It's an amazing attitude if you think about it. If you are aware that there's goodness at every day, every second, every moment, there's goodness from Hashem to be accessible, it changes the whole perspective of life. It's not like, okay, I'm living in the slums and living in my darkness and trying to make the best of it. No, Hashem enables an opportunity to find His goodness in every situation. Why? Because Hashem wants to do good to His creations in the world. Ulegalot lahem alotcha, and to reveal to them Hashem. You want to do good to your creatures, your creations. Ulegalot lahem alotcha, and you see, to reveal to them your godliness. That's how the beginning of goodness begins. When you recognize Hashem in your life, you have a revelation of Hashem in your life. This, number one, leads to kindness, and vice versa. When kindness is activated in your life, it's to show you, to reveal to you that Hashem is in your life. Hashem is with you. It's A leads to B, and B leads to A. You want to do good and to reveal to them your godliness. Okay? This, in essence, is the greatest goodness. Why? Because when you know there's a Lord, there's a God in your life, and He's running things, and it's part of the plan, things now are easier to handle. Until now, when you feel like you're just all alone, and you get in a panicky, very traumatic attitude, and you're under stress and everything, so things look so bad that they're worse than hell. But when you know that God is behind everything, and you begin to see, so in a sense, you just let go. You're doing what you have to do, but you let go with a consolation. Everything is in charge. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's under control. Okay? So, to reveal Hashem's godliness, this in itself is a revelation of Hashem's goodness. Because when you realize Hashem is in charge, it's easier for you to function. It's like now you're sitting in the back seat and letting Hashem drive. Until now, you were driving, you're doing everything, and you get upset when every tiny thing doesn't work because you're driving. But now when you sit in the back seat, it's the driver. He has the GPS. He's taking me where he knows where to go. He has we punched in the coordinates. That's up to him now. Yalla. Let him go and do the job. So that's automatic goodness. Excuse me. When a person has a revelation of Hashem's godliness. And Reb Noson now reiterates that point. Asher zot hi tachlit hatova shebechol hatovot. That this knowledge this revelation of Hashem's godliness to a person is the ultimate kindness, goodness of all goodnesses. The ultimate goodness, the goal of all the goodnesses in the world, is to have godliness revealed to a person, to the creation. Because again, when you know God is behind things, then you can take everything positive. It's like, when Yehuda and Tamar, the incident Yehuda and Tamar. So he found that the whole incident that happened to Yehuda, that he had to be with a prostitute, not knowing that it was his daughter-in-law, Tamar. And then the whole thing that they caught the daughter-in-law that she was pregnant. So he issued that she has the din of a Bat Kohen because she's a descendant of Shem, who was a priest, and Kohanim, that the daughters fool around, they're punishable by death, by death by fire. Okay? Hotziuha v'tisaref. Yehuda said, take her out to be burnt. And then the whole thing that she said, whoever these belongs to, okay? So then when Yehuda realized that this is his daughter-in-law, so a divine voice came out, tzadka mimeni. Rashi brings two interpretations. Rashi says first that Yehuda confessed, she's right, she should not be put to death. Mimeni, she's pregnant from me. Rashi then says Hashem is saying this. Davar acher, another explanation, and this is the main explanation, that Hashem said, tzadka, she is righteous, don't kill her. Mimeni, from me Hashem, did I orchestrate everything to happen like this, that Yehuda should have relations with his daughter-in-law, and from them will come forth the neshama of Mashiach. All this is mimeni. When that was known, then Yehuda took a break. Wow, okay. Hashem's in charge. Hashem's doing things. I don't have to feel bad. Oh, it's not working out, and this and that. What, my daughter-in-law, and then my first son died, second one, and now the third one is going to die because of her. She's probably the one who's katlanit. She's the one who killed the Er and Onan. That's what Rashi brings down, that a woman whose husband dies, so then you have to be careful. Even though she wasn't guilty, but she was very pretty, and they didn't want to ruin her beauty by getting her pregnant, so they wasted seed, both Er and Onan, right? So it was really catastrophic for Yehuda, He lost his wife, he lost his two sons, and all this situation, and then Hashem says, all this is from me. The craziness, and yet I'm showing you that there's balance within it. All this is showing that it's mimeni. When you know that things are in control, you just let go. There are times in life when Hashem gives you a green light and expects you to do. You're doing. But when the push gets to shove and you feel that it's too much and overwhelming and things are not working out and you have a lot of frustration, it's a time to let go and realize Hashem is in charge. Hashem is guarding all of this. Okay, that's the greatest goodness and gift, is knowing that Hashem is everything. Hashem's God, He's running everything. You're just a puppet doing what you have to do. Okay? So this knowledge that Hashem is revealed in the world, like we said, this is the goal of all goodness. From all the goodnesses in the world is a revelation of godliness in the world. Again, similar to the opening of this paragraph. But he says, Chus Hashem, have compassion and let me find charm, grace in your eyes. Choneni, give me chen, give me grace. Veten belibi, and please Hashem, place in my heart, let it be placed in my heart. Ve'ozreini lashuv alecha be'emet, and please help me in order to connect to this goodness of a revelation of you, of your godliness in the world. Let me merit, please, to come back to you, but in truth, a real tshuva. That's the only way to experience Hashem's goodness. Reb Noson is telling us is you got to do tshuva. If you expect the goodness to come your way, and you stay status quo and don't change, you're wrong. When there's a concealment, it's a wake up call. Hashem's telling you, hey, come back to me. You can't say, no, but I want to stay secular. I don't want to put on a kippah now all day. I don't want to do commitments. Okay, so you're stuck, man. It's hard for you, so admit that it's hard. Say, Hashem, I want to come back to you. I don't know how. I want to come back to you. Please bring me back to you. Be'emet. I really ask you, Hashem, I don't know what you want from me, because it's so, on one hand, it's so difficult. On one hand, I have my personal needs, my personal interests, but on the other hand, I know it's wrong. I know that ultimately your truth is the real thing, the real deal, and I'm wasting my life if I think I just want to live my imaginary comfort zone existence, and that's the real thing. I'm never going to get to this goodness of Hashem. So therefore, what can I do? I'm stuck in a way. Like I can't get out. I'm shackled in my tendencies and my needs and necessities and the falsehoods that I've adapted myself to in my life. On the other hand, I deep down inside want to connect. I want to feel godliness in my heart. But I can't have these two opposites. So what can I do in the meantime? Is to come back to you, to request, please let me come back to you in truth. Because when tshuva is activated, that's when Hashem really begins to open up and show a person His goodness and kindness. Okay? Be'ofen she'ezkeh lisboa mituvcha amiti. You see? He says it here. Let me merit to come back to you in truth, in such a way, in such a format, that I merit to be satiated, satisfied with your true kindness. Satisfied. Like so much. Satiation, lisboa. To be savea, satisfied with your true goodness. All this by asking Hashem to come back to Him in truth. You don't know what to do, you're stuck? At least cry to Hashem. Okay? Udifat machshavti tiye tamid lasig ora insof. Now Reb Noson goes back to connect the initial idea of this lesson. And please Hashem, let the pursuing of my mind, the running of my thoughts, should always be for the following purpose: to reach, to perceive the infinite light. My mind's running should be to connect to the infinite light. So that's what happens when a person is zocheh to do tshuva, then be zocheh he merits to be satisfied with Hashem's goodness, and then when the goodness is raining down a person, then he can merit to really. We skipped a line there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, we skipped the line there. That I should merit to know and recognize you in truth. That's what we said. That was the initial stage here, before what we just mentioned. And from that, once I can really know and recognize you in my life, then I know where I'm running after. It's like what it says in Song of Songs. Moshcheni acharecha narutza. Hashem, draw me to you, indicate to me that you want me to come, and I will run after you. So that's what we're saying here. When a person has an opening, that Hashem opens up a revelation of His godliness to a person, so that is like an indicator for the person. Here, this is your direction, now run. The person drops everything to run, to connect to his source. Okay? It's when there's a revelation that a person drops everything else and runs. This idea is similar to what Rebbe Nachman says in lesson number 4, of the idea of seeing the tzaddik. Seeing the tzaddik, there's a light shining on the tzaddikim. This light is the light of awareness of godliness. And he says there Rebbe Nachman in lesson 4, the analogy of a child who's busy doing his stupidities, playing his silly games and silly playings. But when he sees his mother, his mama, he drops everything and runs to mommy. It's like a child in the nursery, and the mother comes to pick him up. And the child loves the mother. And when the child, even though he's really in his games and his Lego and everything and the puzzles and Twister, whatever they play in kindergarten, whatever, but when he sees his mommy, he drops everything, mommy, and he comes running to Ima, to run to his mother. So the idea here is also similar, that when Hashem reveals His godliness to a person can know and recognize Hashem. So when that is activated, due to tshuva and Hashem shining His kindness in the person, opening up his awareness, then a person starts to run. That's what he says now. That's what we jumped the line. We're going back now. Okay, תן בליבי שעוזרני לשוב אליך באמת באופן שאזכה לסבוע מטובך אמיתי, שאזכה לדעת ולהכיר אותך באמת. And then as a result, like we said now, ורדיפת מחשבתי תהיה תמיד להשיג אור אינסוף. And the running of my thoughts should always be to perceive you, to perceive the infinite light. And this now is a result of awareness of Hashem's godliness activated in my life. That pushes me now to perceive the root now, to go beyond. B'kedusha of Tahara Gdola, with a lot of holiness and purity. A lot of holiness and a lot of purity, let me activate this. Because a person, really for this to happen, like we said, he has to do tshuva. He has to get out of his foolishness, his foolishness of being stuck and enticed and his impurity, right? Impurity and lack of holiness. Okay, no purity, no holiness. So the thing is to get back into that. That will be a stepping stone to come to everything. But more than this, he's saying, let's just try to explain this idea much better. That the perceiving of godliness is in itself, it requires that I be in a proper mode for that. The running for the infinite light requires that I have kedusha v'tahara. But kedusha v'tahara, how do you expect to do kedusha v'tahara, holiness and purity, if I'm steeped in this world? That's why he said you have to do tshuva. You have to ask Hashem to do tshuva. When the activation of the tshuva is done, then you can perceive the infinite life with the vessel. You see, this is Reb Noson is adding these words because you need a vessel to experience this, and this vessel is holiness and purity. When a person has a revelation of godliness, it's not like he's sitting back steeped in his immorality and stuff and then experiencing godliness. Reb Noson says this is the biggest mistake of all the big philosophers. They claim they have such big brains and they're so intellectual. At the same time, they were steeped in immorality, steeped in lethargy, steeped in avarice, in jealousy of money and food. They had all the tavot. They said, what's the problem? We're so smart that our involvement in lusts and temptation, desires won't diminish our stature. And here in godliness, it's the exact opposite. You want godliness? You're going to have to make an initiation of holiness and purity. That's what it requires. So now because you don't have that, that's why you have to do tshuva. You have to ask Hashem to do tshuva be'emet. And once the doors are open from your tshuva, they grant you kedusha v'tahara, and that is the vessel to be able to experience the infinite light, to run after the infinite light with the prerequisite of purity and holiness. There's a lot of prerequisites here, but each one is for the next stage. And Reb Noson is like going through step by step in this prayer. Okay, שאזכה לדעת ולהכיר אותך באמת, ורדיפת מחשבתי תהיה תמיד להשיג אור אינסוף בקדושה וטהרה גדולה, באמת ובאמונה שלמה, in truth and with complete faith, the experience of this light. בתכלית מדרגה העליונה דקדושה שבכל המדרגות. Hashem, I'm talking about my ultimate goal, to reach the maximum upper level of holiness of all other levels. See, Reb Noson here, like I said, is really going all the way for a person to maximize this experience. Let me, Hashem, reach for the maximum. Even though, unfortunately, in reality, a person is very far from this, at least he can request it. At least he can daven for it. We don't say, look at you, you're so upside down, you're so blemished. What are you davening for these things? So we say just the opposite. Just because I'm so blemished, all the more so I need them. And that does not mean that I'm not entitled to at least ask for it and yearn for it. You can't say, you're so far anyway, so stop yearning for things which are untouchable. The answer is no. My yearning is all I can do right now to connect. And because it's all I can do, Hashem values this more than anything else right now, is my ratzon to connect. We said this when learning the Likutey Tefilot lesson 24, the idea of the tzachtzachot. Orot tzachtzachot is really an expression of yearning for the highest levels possible. Even though I'm so far, at least I can yearn, at least I can daven. And that's what Reb Noson is showing us in this little paragraph here, which is finished. is that a person, nachon you're far, nachon your marriage is upside down, nachon your sexual purity is upside down, your eating is upside down, your anger, your lust for money, nachon you're upside down. So therefore, because you're upside down, you cannot yearn for the maximum level. So other people, who are so-called rationals, they say, yes, don't ask for such high things. Ask for tiny things. We say just the opposite. Because I'm so far and dark, and I have the threat, the danger of falling altogether, so I have no other alternative than to yearn and express my yearning for the maximum highest level. It's like when a person is so down deep, you don't just get regular guys in ropes to pull them up. You get a tractor with like 500 horsepower, with major chains and everything to go so deep to connect to the person and pull him up. You need such energy to pull him out. So you can't say, oh, just daven for simple things. What are you davening and yearning for the biggest levels? The answer is yes, you must ask for the highest levels, because that is the only way you'll get out. That's the only way. When something is so low, you must yearn for the maximum level. That's what pulls you out, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, we finished this paragraph, and the next class will be now on the final section of the Likutey Moharan. And once that's done, then we will go back to these two final paragraphs, which are on that last section of the Likutey Moharan. Thank you for joining, and if you have any questions or comments on what we spoke about, you can always reach out to me. Reach out to me through WhatsApp, private message only. Number is +1 732 800 1863. Once again, 732 800 1863. Shalom and be well, and thank you for joining.